Hey, can you guys see me? Hmm. No? What do you mean you can't see me? Oh, there I am. Clock. Sorry, guys. Where's Billy? Okay, so I have this. So, bro, hear me out. I got this new. Remember we were talking about serial killer documentaries or serial killer movies? I came up with a sick plot. Okay? So you guys got to hear me out. You have to let me talk. Let me hear it out. This is a good ass plot. Ready? Okay, so I started thinking about it again after this girl randomly hits me up. She's like, "You look like Jeffrey Dahmer." I'm like, "Who the fuck is that?" Because she said Jaden Dahmer, and she's like, "Oh, Jeffrey." I'm like, "Oh, thanks." And then she's like, "Well, he was cute, but he was crazy." I'm like, "Bro, what the fuck?" Anyway, the thanks was sarcastic, just so you know. I don't want to look like Jeffrey Dahmer. Okay, so I got this sick, but then I was thinking about fucking shit, and I'm like, "Oh, bro, I got a sick ass plot." Okay, ready? Okay, so. This is it. You guys ready? I got the sickest storyline ever. But I gotta make sure I word it perfectly so you guys understand. Okay, so it's gonna the serial killer is gonna be a guy, right? So he goes on dates, right? He only kills women, okay? So he goes on dates. He makes them fall in love with him so hard, okay? Where the fantasies start to get high, okay? So it starts to get like kind of like torture and like stuff like that, okay? Like just kind of like crazy ass fantasies, like they want to be like dominated, etc., right? Okay, so he makes them fall in love with the idea that it gets so deep, the domination, that they literally want to get killed by him. So he slowly brings them to that point, and then he makes them fall in love that deep where they write a note saying, I wanted to be killed by this person, and they finger stamp it. So he collects the notes and does that and moves to the next girl, and he does it through all, and he keeps doing it. Bro, that's a sick fucking movie plot, bro. I don't think anyone's ever done something like that. Crazy, eh? Crazy. So that's the serial killer. So we're gonna think of a name. I put Jason, but there's already a Jason though, you know? So like that, we gotta think of a good name. We gotta think of a crazy guy. Yeah, we just gotta think how it starts though. Like how does it start, you know? I think it just starts with like fantasies, right? So it's Jake. Jake. That's the perfect one. We'll do Jake. Okay, so Jake, right? Starts off with just like falling in love, and then him and his girlfriend start going down like dark fantasies type shit. Like it just starts getting more submissive type shit. And then eventually the girl ends up saying, he says, well, they're having, you know what? Right? She says, kill me. And he says, are you sure? And she says, I'm serious. And he does it. And then, no, then he says, write a note. Write a note. She writes a note, finger stamps it, and he does it during the sex act. So then at the end, right? So just strangle. We'll just think strangle, and then I guess we can make it get worse as the kills go by. And then the last one, yeah, we can call it Stam. Dude, that's a fucking perfect title name, Stamp. Okay, it's gonna be called Stamp. Then the ending needs to be like this big controversy that obviously he's going to jail, but the big controversy is these are actual DNA stamps where they actually, and that's the same writing. So the controversy, would be like, I yes, he's going to jail and he's in trouble and he's on death row, but they're just in awe. Like they're just like confused in why all of these girls, like let's say there's 100 of them, all admitted to wanting that. You know what I mean? Like with like real notes saying, this is what I want. And then they can maybe they can write like why they're ready to like pass away and that it's just they want this guy to take their life. Something like that. Yeah, they can say they wanted this guy to take their life. How do you get caught? They wanted this guy to take their life because they wanted him to be the last guy they loved type shit. No, there will be a different reason for everything. One girl can say, I was just ready to pass away. One girl will say, I was just so in love with them and this is the person I want to take my life. One girl is just saying, I'm already depressed and this guy makes me feel so good and that's how like it could be almost all the same or to please him. And then the way he got caught, falls in love with the cop's daughter. Falls in love He falls in love with the cop's daughter. So the guy that does the case, the daughter was like a Harvard grad, very smart, had her whole life ahead of her, but the charm took over. And you can like zoom in when it's happening with the seduction, like with the eyes. Like almost like a thirst trap. No, I'm just joking. But like you can see like the seduction. It'll zoom in on kind of like how good he is as manipulating and like sucking that energy in, you know? Let her dad save her. No, I think she has to go, and then the dad freaks out. She goes, and the dad freaks. Like, it'll be a whole dramatic of the dad freaks. Like, it'll have a little bit, like 10 minutes. Like, we'll show the dad and stuff, and we'll show him throughout the movie. We'll show dad and him throughout the movie. You know what I mean? And then like both their lives and like it'll kind of dive into like him finding murders and then like this guy like kind of just being like going to school or whatever. And then once he takes it, the daughter, that's when he like is trying to find this guy while he's still doing this. And then they'll put news notes, but then on social media, all these women are actually getting turned on by the situation. They're like, holy fuck, this is such a hot situation. There's notes that are being left behind of this guy that is taking people's lives because of how in love they are. And it'll start a trend, and then more girls will want to, like, want to find him and try to dig into that fantasy. And then how does he actually get caught? So they all be terminally ill, so they will all want to die anyway. Can they all be terminally ill, so they want to die anyway? I think like it makes it interesting. Like there's gonna be girls that are already terminal ill. There's gonna be girls that have lost like loved ones, so they just feel like hopeless. Like they just admit they want to go see their loved one. There's gonna be girls that are just have failed or whatever. But then there's gonna be girls that you just never expect, to make it interesting. So it'd be girls that like that Harvard dad kind of thing, whatever. And then yeah, at the end, the dad kills. Dad kills at the end in the chair. So he gets death row, and the dad somehow like seductively kills him. I don't want to say seductively, but like says like makes that guy kind of punish, like finds out what the killer loves and kind of tortures the killer in a slow way somehow or something, like kind of like reverse Uno, you know? Um I would say that's a tough one. Ah, fuck. Hmm. That's a hard one. That's a big part, that finish. Hmm. I would say the dad in jail before death row, he becomes friends with him, just like the guy did to the daughter, and then put in quotations, doesn't know it's the cop's daughter. So as he becomes friends with him, he starts talking about God with him, about family, and then turns all that against him, and then flips it by showing pictures of like his family, all this like good, like so like kind of becomes friends with the killer. And then the killer's like, oh, like starting to feel better in jail, whatever, and starting to like they really gain a connection. And then he's like, but don't you like miss it? But how would you do it? Fuck. Oh, that's a tough one. Hmm. He finds that's another the finding is a good question too. I would say the killer should leave it in like mysterious places to make it even a little more interesting. Maybe just not all at the house or something. Maybe the killer wants to be found in a low-key way and like kind of plants the bodies in areas like first like his old school. So he misses school. So he plants the first one at the old school. And then like he leaves a trail of his life. And then just say he played hockey. He leaves it at the hockey arena that he used to play at. Like leaves like he kind of starts leaving evidence, but for it obviously to be found. And then they have to catch it like that type shit. Finding bodies like yeah, so let's say arena, school, church, old neighborhood. And we'll do like against the tree with the head cut off and just head on the lap. Like just holding the head. Yeah. And it's gonna be called stamp. Oh, and the note. And the note stuck to the head, but a piece ripped off on the bottom. The killer keeps the piece that says his name with the signature. I agree too. Daughter of the cop gets saved. I agree with that. Like last second. Last second. That's smart. That makes sense. Last second, like the daughter's so in love, the cops telling her no, she's not listening. She's denying that this would never be him. Trust me, this guy's so normal. He actually starts to believe it, but then he ends up finding out evidence and it all matches up. That's the old school. That's the arena. That's the old neighborhood. And it kind of like all hits him at once, where like it just lines up that that's it. So he rushes to the house and tells his daughter, no, he actually not rushes, he tells the daughter and shows, and then she believes it. And then as she shows, what flashes in her head is on the nightstand was all these ripped pieces of the signature, and he kept them pinned on the nightstand. And then that's when she's like, holy fuck, he's the killer. Yeah, pinned to the bedroom door is even good, yeah. And she asks once, and he says, I just like to do my signature. I collected it since I was a kid. She asked, and he says, I just like to do my signature. I did it since I was a kid, so I collect them, seeing how much I can get. It's crazy. That's good, eh? Well, the story tells why he needs to do this. Well, the story tell why he needs to do this. That's even better. I think the end before they put him on death row, I think they try to study his brain by talking to him. And I think he shouldn't really understand the reason, but the psychologist, like this like famous psychologist, is the one that starts to understand it. So he kind of lives in a false reality where he has like this massive ego. But when she dives in, she kind of sees how thirsty he was for a deep connection for love. He was obsessed with love. And then it'll show him like, not feeling it in certain areas when he was young and he just couldn't help but he just wanted that love so, so bad. Where he felt the need that if someone let him do that, then it was like that was the last call of love. Brilliant. Stamp. Yeah, the ultimate act of love was sacrifice. Rejected by women? Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think rejection, yeah. I think rejection and then yeah, that's a good idea. Shows him being rejected. Yeah, very handsome. Shows him being rejected. And then that also with the family and the rejection turned on this hunger for trying to figure out love. So it'll show him studying stuff like that, studying love, like studying love, studying seduction, studying seduction. Um, no, it's stamped, not snapped, stamped. Because he makes before he does the act with the women, with the girls, they write a note and he makes them stamp their fingerprint. He puts it in and then goes, so he literally gets them to the point of obsession where they allow him to take their own life. Studying the art of seduction, and you'll see him stressing about it late night, can't figure it out. Yeah, loner, all that stuff. Loner, rejection, school, family, then kind of snaps into let's build this. But at first, they'll start off with just wanting to be loved, but then that will get, but then it'll show how it like starts to like, let's say he falls in love deep, then gets heartbroken, then he falls in love again, heartbroken. But each time the love got deeper because of how much he would study how to get them, basically in quotations, as you guys would say, like under his spell. And then that spell will grow like tremendously, where it's like it'll turn into domination, being reliant, bullying, like deminimizing. To say stealing, then stealing something, then finding it. So showing like you can't live without me type shit. You know what I mean? Like if I didn't get this for you, you would be nowhere. And you have to understand how serious life is because you want to be with that person that just got hurt because that could happen, but I'm here for you. And then really pushes religion. So that's when it gets to like you need to sacrifice yourself for your loved one, yourself for your loved one, for your loved ones type shit. And then manipulates that if you die through the act of love, he'll say like God will God will love you if you die through the act of love, of you can die with your person if like something like that. Something like that. I just don't know exactly how he's gonna manipulate them to really, really believe because it's gotta really feel like they understand, you know? Um, fuck, that's a tough one. I think how would you manipulate them to really think? That's tough. Trying to think. I think like with all that building up, it would just be like I think they start to look at him as a god where they're okay with him taking their life. So they start to say like all these things they see, they're like, you're and then he starts to say, I am, like I was the chosen one. And then it starts to get like in the sex act, he'd be like, and then he'd be like, they'd be like, just kill me. And it's like, I think you should let me like push you to that universe, like that dimension. And then they're like, yeah, and it's like, yeah, trust me, it's gonna feel good. Just let me. and then just write it or something. Fuck, I gotta think how they actually would get up, sign the note, and then put the stamp. Has to be realistic. They start to think about it. They start to think about it because he drains them so hard that they start to actually fantasize over dying. He drains them so hard emotionally that they start to fantasize about dying. And then he suggests it, like basically saying like I can kill I could do that for you and it would be good. Probably the best way you can die. And they'd be like, I really want that. I f- I want to die with you. I want to die in you type shit. Like they're just super in love. I want to die with you slash in you. Like just with this like obsession of love. And you'll see that in the girls' faces of just like, I can't get enough of you type shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, that's good. He's a therapist? Not a bad idea. Um, that's a good question. His job's a really good question. That's a tough one. Mm, damn. Charming, he's charming. He can be charming and manipulative. Those are two different categories. They're not really the same thing. You can be charming and manipulative. Maybe he can read minds. He's a medical examiner. Ooh, that's not a bad idea. Went to med school, started studying the brain, started studying like the art of like so started studying. We'll put him in college though. He won't be like older. We'll put him in like just got out of college type shit. But started studying like law of attraction, which led to science, which led to the human brain, and which led to the art of seduction. And yeah, as he's doing that, you can see how he would go and ask a girl if they want to go on a date and they would laugh at him. So like he went through things that brought him back home to like studying like all that stuff and you'll watch him. Oh, I got a really good one. He would watch, he would study the girls in porn, like their faces, how they were when they were climaxing, and he would study like TikToks of girls falling in love with guys, of girls falling in love with guys. So like he was obsessed with the art of seduction, like of a girl loving stuff. Even if porn's fake, sex isn't. Like yeah, you can hear a girl screaming in porn and you can hear a girl screaming in normal sex as well. Even those sex scenes, there's some that the girl is feeling it really hard. That happens all the time. Right? Stamped. Yeah. That's awesome. Fuck yeah. If someone steals this, bro, it's my idea originated, but I'll make it better. No, I think He could change. I think the studying, yeah, the studying, he could just change jobs. Actually, yeah, you know what? I like that. He changes jobs. Like he'll work at Walmart one time, but he still studies all the time. But he'll work at Walmart, he'll work at a gas station, um, he'll do construction. He will, he just kind of likes putting himself in new environments. And then as he's doing that, he's having these conversations with like random people, and like certain things will happen, like a girl will drop something at this at the Walmart, then he looks over at her and then has that conversation, and you'll kind of see how his brain is studying like the way her lips are moving. He's obsessed with like how she moves and then as he's falling in love and she still says no, he was like, but how, if I was so in love with you, type shit. Social experiment. Yeah, yeah. Big social experiment. 100%. 100%. Yeah. With a big feeling, like social experiment, but more of like it meant something to him. You know what I mean? Like it was his life, but he didn't treat humans like humans. They were objects. That's a good question. Does he get off on murder? I think it was hard for him. So the first one, you'll see he cries. So like it's hard, it was hard for him for the first one. It was almost like and then it was like whew, like it was like a pop. Like it was done, but then he starts like sketching out and he goes through like tremendous breakdown. But then after all this tremendous breakdown of like a month of like hiding and being scared, he something clicks in him again where he misses that feeling, and then he goes and tries to like now he's a professional. So the first one was hard, but now he's a professional because he's walking like he doesn't care. So it's almost like nothing to lose. Let's go really put the seduction on. First one's the girl he loves who's dying. That's a good question. Is it the love of his life, the first one? No, he loses the love of his life, loses the love of his life. Then he goes, dates again, finds someone. Now it's a social experiment. The next girl was a social experiment. The next girl was like, now he's looking at girls as how can I gain power over them, not falling in love. How often does he kill? I don't know. Yeah, if it was a series, then we can kind of expand it to have like more of a life story. Or if it's a movie, we can do like he does like 10 people, or like maybe even make it a little higher. Like he I don't know, I think it goes for one, two, three, but then I think it's like now he can get a girl to fall in love with him with a week. And he really starts manipulating really, really quick. And then kind of as they're having sex, the first time he has sex, he goes really hard where he chokes where she's almost passing out, but she's loving it. Almost a perfect, like a perfect recipe of like she wants him to stop but doesn't. And then she starts to really, but then she was scared at first, but the next time she's obsessed with it. She's like, I need that feeling where and then she's like, And then he starts pushing it jokingly. Have you ever tried? Imagine being actually choked out. Imagine actually dying from it. Apparently that is the best feeling is to actually let go of everything. Like starts to we got to figure out how he pushes that, how many that's a good question. How many people, how often does he do it? Because it would take a long time for somebody to actually manipulate somebody like that. Obviously, I would never do that, bro. This is all a movie. That's why I'm talking about it. If I was to do something like this, I wouldn't be talking about it. It would have to be how does he actually get someone to be manipulated to that point, and how quick would it be? Mm. I think right away they're in awe. So he's in full power. Then the sex becomes so good. They say, keep joking type shit. Then he says, I don't know. I think because every scenario has to be a different scenario. But I think like, mm, because there's girls that have this fantasy, as sick as it is. There's a lot of girls I've noticed in the world that have very sick fantasies. And this is just like a normal thing. This is like a true thing. So I've noticed how even though nothing would happen, nobody would do something like that. They like that. A lot of people love that assertive dominance. And so you can play that into more of a sick thing by spinning it into something like crazy like that. Yeah, men too. A lot of people. Um, so it could be just trying to think like I guess every scenario would be different. One girl would send us like after they had sex, she would start talking about, have you heard of this serial killer? Then they'd start talking about it, and then she's like, have you ever thought of stuff like that? And then he would say, yeah, I did. Like imagine like this, and then she'd be like, I don't know why that turns me on. And then he'd be like, yeah, have you ever thought about doing it? And then she'd be like, yeah, at first no, and then it's like I was thinking, and like I kind of want you to just go all out on me, and then it would be they would so it was like almost like an art, and then you can see him, he would draw that art. So we'd have to figure out what the art would be. I would say it'd be the dominance first, and then I would say the second would be so the power first, then the dominant sex, then the love. Oh, that's a hard one. I would say like religion sacrifice maybe, but I don't know if we should get down the religion sacrifice. No, maybe not. I would say just dominant love. I think some could be like religion sacrifice. Ah, no, fuck. I think yeah, the power, the dominance, the love slash charm, and then just while they were doing it, they would just say, okay, because this is the thing. How are they gonna actually say, I'm signing that note? That's where we have to get to. We have to make sure the story is so believable that the girl is literally walking down that to sign that note. Like that's where it like can't just be like, okay, I'll sign a note and then it's unrealistic. It has to be, how do we get to that? That's the question. No, hypnotize, that would just make it unrealistic. Well, I think the whole hypnotize should be on the lines of just the charm and the sex, and then him just suggesting it. And then I think he just randomly says, he like, they're having such good sex, right? And then he says, she's like, choke hard. And then she's like, can I kill you? And then she's like, what? And like, let me kill you. And then she says, yeah, do it. And then he goes, sign, I want you to sign this note before I go all out. And then she's like, I'm scared. And then it's like, it's fine. Trust me. And then as he looks in her eyes, she like almost loses control. Yeah, like mind control, almost like loses control just from looking and is like kind of like just succumbs, like, yes, like almost like a yes master type shit because he's so yeah, like mind control. Then she signs it, then she's like, I'm scared. And then he's like, don't be scared. And then he like kind of pushes in, like, don't be scared. And then that's when she's like, fuck it. And then right when she says fuck it, that's when he just ends it, goes all out and ends it. And then just like wraps it up. That's good. It's not unrealistic. That's the thing. There are girls out there that fall that deep in love that let their met like they get beat up, like they get controlled, they get like it's like horrible, horrible shit, like to an extreme. You know what I mean? Where they like will do anything. There's even women that will kill and lure other people for their man because that's like their master type shit. So it's not unrealistic, but we don't want to make it like everyone else. We want to make it where it's like she's still vulnerable. She still wants that, but she's scared, but she just wants him to be happy. That's the main premise. These women just want him to be happy in a loving way because the seduction's so hard in a seduction way. What does he do with the body? So he traces it back to old childhood stuff. So it starts off from his first preschool. Then it moves on to the first arena he played hockey at. Let's just say we can use soccer or whatever. I'm just trying to understand the best relation I can think that how I would go about it, let's say. I would never do something like this. Obviously, this is all for the movie. Trust me. Don't gotta worry about me. I love life. Um, so yeah, goes there, starts off at preschool, then goes to like somewhere where a hockey arena or something. Somewhere where. So he's kind of leaving traces of everything. Then it would be like an old neighborhood that he used to live at. Then it would be, but they didn't really know why. They would just find that with the note, and then they'd be like, what the fuck, right? And then the next would be, and it would just kind of get closer and closer to his everyday life. But you'd always think about, let's do this old buddy's neighborhood. Like he would just kind of sit there and be like, kind of checking off, what's the next place I should put the body, you know? Type shit. The thing is, he would have to dress up when he drops off the body because cameras and stuff, because nowadays they have cameras, right? So he would have to put a suit on in a car that has no license plate. So they're trying to find this car with no license plate, and they're also trying to find that suit. He would end up driving up north, and then he'd be gone because there's no more cameras. So he'd always find a road where it would end up he'd go in a forest and he'd be gone. This isn't about they will, guys. This isn't a real scenario. Listen, this is a movie, by the way, for you psychopaths thinking this is real. This is a movie. So I'm trying to do the most realistic movie we can do. So we got to figure out what would it be. And the most realistic with that would be put something on, not a license plate, go up north. That would be the only thing, or skirt into a forest somewhere. But it would have to be different directions. I think at first they don't really do that. They yeah, because people always catch up on a shit like that. So they always catch up on people always catch up on things like why wouldn't they just check the cameras? So I don't think we have to go as far as 10 murders. I think we could honestly do one where it's like, oh, he went in this forest, and then you see the car go out again over here, but now he takes that route. So we can do about five. We can do about five. Five. Then the last, when he gets caught, the girl sets him up. The cop's daughter. Because she finds out from the dad. Then the dad breaks in before they have sex. And they weren't even close to having it. Like it was just like kind of just walking up. And then they take the evidence off the door, which lines up with the paper. No, the whole he burns the bodies for evidence. Now we're just getting stupid. He put the body, like I said 100 times, in the old positioning. The school, the arena, the old church, the old neighborhood. Cuts that off, puts on the lap, puts the note. He wants that commotion. He wants that chase. He wants that. So he wants the chase. What do you mean the murderers are at his home? What are you talking about? Is like a country spree? Is it localized? Localized. Good question. Localized. Localized makes it more interesting. I would say around a province. You know what I mean? Around a state. Not really too like towny, but let's say just around like areas he's been type shit. You know what I mean? Hey, we just got a call from Arizona. We found another body, etc., etc. After they just found a body down somewhere near Arizona. I don't know. You know what I'm saying? Type shit. Because of the hanging signatures. I don't know what you're saying. So the murderers in the house, what are you talking about? He's the only murderer, and the body that he does, he puts it somewhere and puts the note on the body. I don't know what you don't get about that. He could leave the body. He could leave. He could leave the bodies in a different. Where does he kill them? Well, I already said, kills them at the house. When it happens, in the car, sits down, figures out where he's putting them. But it always represents where he something that was in his childhood. Takes the body, puts it in the car, drives it to that specific place. Let's say at nighttime, puts it there with the note. Takes the sticky, like he rips it, the signature, and he puts it on the back of the bed. I mean, the back of the door where the pin is. Goes back to bed, wakes up, new person. 11:11, make a wish. Yeah, maybe summer camp, anything like that. Or dies where he lives. Yeah, and he dies death row. I would say big news. And then we'll do like, because people are fucked now with this stuff, so we'll do like there was inside jobs of people live streaming it in the station of him dying. And then you'll see like a bunch of like young adults or teenagers kind of watching on like Reddit or something. They're like, yo, look, he's like about to get killed. Like they're about to execute him. And they're like fucking pussy, like what a fucking, and then you'll see like people getting paid as inside jobs kind of tape it, you know? We want that he's dead. Maybe he streams all his murders and I think after documents it. So like after it happens, he's like he kind of like almost like he's talking to social media. He's like, "Hey guys, I did it again. I killed her. We got her upstairs." And it's just to him, but he thinks he's talking to people. Like he like envisions he's talking to people, you know, but it's just for him. And he's like, "Got her upstairs. She's done. I'm gonna put the body. We're gonna go drive it to the next place. This is my series of how to be a murderer." Like just like he takes it so like simple, but it's like so fucking crazy. Good idea. Trying to think of another one. Should he do like find like some sick people online? Like let's say he's online after he does some of these murders, and then he sees people that are kind of streaming this shit and doing sick things too, and then kind of joins a community where he starts sharing that stuff too, maybe too. Yeah, starts sharing it with crazy people and people, and even they're like, that might be too far. That might be too far though. I can say we can have one scene. We can have one scene where he does it, then he sees something fucked, right? Then he sees something really fucked, like a child or something, right? And that's when he's like, I can't watch this, and stops. So even though he's fucked, it brought him to a point where he's like, I don't even want to be a part of that shit, type shit. You know what I mean? It could be like he was going down that path and then he was like, fuck it. And then it was like, hey guys, this is just a live stream for me type shit. You know what I mean? He's ends it, then goes back to just video himself after it happened. And he can even say, I joined the craziest dark web shit. I saw the most messed up thing and I couldn't handle it. It was the most disgusting thing ever. And, you know, God, I just hope you forgive me because this is not something that I want to be doing, but it's something that I need to be doing. And I will take my punishment in hell. And I hope that you save me from that after. But this is something, God, that I need to do because it's something I need to do on this lifetime. And I hope you can forgive me one day. And like, he'll talk like that type shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, like blogs it, stamp. And then the stamp, the picture could be just like, a note stuck on a forehead of like a very beautiful woman, a girl you can tell, and then it says, I told him to do it. And then it'll have like her fingerprint. And then faded in the back, you'll see a really like good looking guy, but faded in the back, kind of behind, like coming into the camera type shit. That could be like the picture. Perfect, dude. Let's fucking go, dude. Now you have to do scene one, scene two, scene three, scene four. So I'll start thinking that when I'm alone of how I'm gonna put like what's the first scene gonna be, so I can like literally start breaking it down slowly. He just goes straight to killing women because it all starts from he's having sex, he's choking, she says, kill me. He says he starts squeezing harder. She's like, harder, harder. And he's like, are you sure? And she says, do it. And then that's when he just does it. And then that is when he freaks out, doesn't know what to do, takes him a month, he's sick, he's puking, all this shit. But then a month later, he says, fuck it. I'm gonna like that's what he loves to do. And then he starts going out with the whole studying, does the seduction, tries to get more of that. So almost like the first one was like a mistake, but not really. But then it would just became, how do I get people to that point again where that girl told me to do it? You know what I mean? And that can be his first, that can be like his a girl that he liked. Becomes his drug. The main thing is almost someone said like you. It is like you, the show, also a mix with the new Obsession show. It's kind of a mix of that, Dahmer, like it's a mix of like all those to get to the point of like it's basically an obsession thing, like a love struck obsession, obsessed with girls to the point where it's like he wants that, you know what I mean? I don't know what this means though, Like the guilt from the actual accidental murder led him to the online confession and then moves him to finding, I don't know what you mean by online confession, and then moves him to finding more to erase the first sin. I don't really know what you mean because he accidentally does it, but he does it. It wasn't an accident. And then after he just goes through a lot of shit where he's like, what the hell did I do? I don't want to get caught, etc., etc. And then eventually you'll see him kind of freaking out. And then eventually he just says, like, that's what I love to do. You know what I mean? Like, I want to do that again. Or he'll start talking to another girl. And then the same thing kind of happens again. And that's when he realizes this is my calling type shit. Yeah, that's a good one. Starts talking to the girl. Same thing kind of happens months later. This is genius. Yeah, it was so intense, the orgasm. And then the second one, he starts feeling that again, and then mixed with the guilt of already committing murder, he was like, I have nothing really to lose at this point, so I'm just gonna continuously live my life at full force with this obsession. You know what I'm saying? This is great, dude. This is fine. This is movie ideas. I put this as movie ideas. This is fine, dude. You guys are stressing because you're like, oh, it has too much relation, blah, blah, blah. Like, no, you guys need to chill, bro. You guys got to realize that this is human fucking nature, bro. This is why people are so obsessed with scary movies because they're like, holy shit, this shit happens. Yes, this is you have you're a human being, bro. So like the bottom line is this is just all movie shit, fun shit. So like don't be like weird about it. You know what I mean? Like you have to as a movie, as making a movie, you have to try to understand why someone would do something as best you can. You have to emphasize it massively. That's what makes the movie so good because it has to have relation to viewers, the most viewers it can, you know? So you got to think very deep about that type of stuff, you know? So it's really cool. And also with the people taking my movie idea, no one, if someone takes the movie idea, this clip's already posted, it's my clip. No matter if someone goes out, I'll just say I already talked about it. If they try to make a knockoff, they'll never have the original. And if they do make my movie, then hasta la vista. I just made someone make $1 million fucking dollars. So that's pretty dope too. So I don't really care about that. As long as it's originally coming from me, I'm fine. I don't really care about stolen ideas. Literally. But I think why this is so perfect is because it relates to the online dating era. It relates to how crazy sexual fantasies are becoming in today's age. It's showing how like the effects of porn and all these things that people are consistently being thrown at. Like it shows such a modern twist to like all of this crazy shit, the obsession with wanting to be with somebody when you're always online. Like it has such a good fucking, you know what I'm saying? Okay, no, dude, Sally, relax, bro. You should be a TikTok star. Now you're just trying to paint it as me, the fucking murderer. No, dude, we have like it's not gonna be the exact. Even if he was a TikTok star or not a TikTok star, everybody's on TikTok. Even if he's a TikTok star or not a TikTok star, that doesn't make any difference because everybody's on TikTok, watching TikToks, being obsessed with TikToks, being obsessed with people. You know what I'm saying? So it's like that doesn't matter too much. You know what I'm saying? So that needs to do some checking, unless you have something else to say. Um, but yeah, I think the biggest part about it is what's happening. I think I don't know, I like the idea where he's just a normal kind of guy, but he's like hot and kind of, doesn't have money, kind of lives with his parents, kind of goes through shit, but has some family issues too. And then also those studies a lot. So you'll see him in like he doesn't have a nice house, he's upstairs in his room a lot. kind of like going through shit, maybe jerking off a lot, trying to find pleasure, trying to find intimate relationships. Then he's studying the art of seduction. He's watching TikToks, seeing girls shake their ass on TikTok, becoming obsessed with that, like constantly trying to find that. Then he's seeing people rich, and then he's like, fuck, if maybe I'd get girls if I was rich. So he starts working, and then work starts, he gets bullied at work, let's say, so it doesn't go his way. Like all this kind of shit that makes him think like, what the fuck is this, right? But then the relationships, he starts falling in love, gets so attached, and then that's where it starts to become sinister because he can like take control with a girl because she's more vulnerable and use that to his advantage in a way, but wasn't really doing it intentionally, does it out of love, but then it starts getting where he gets more power, gets more power, gets more power, and that power he ends up taking. Does his personality change as he kills? No, I would say it stays the same. I would say sex does it. Yeah, I'd say it stays the same. I would say even throughout the day, we see him going to do stuff where he can be happy, but then it always clicks like what he's really doing and like, but yeah, I would say keep his personality the same. I would say keep his personality the same. Yeah. Keep the personality the same. His age, I was thinking do it around like mm, I would say aim for around I would say aim for around I want to say 20 or I want to say 30. No higher or no lower. So I would say 20 to 30. The biggest thing I'm trying to think is if he's either 24 to 26, 28 to 30, or 22 to 24. I would say 22 to 24 is too young. I would say 28. I want to say 28. Yeah, I want to say 28. Because any younger, he's not going to be smart enough really to get this much into it. When you hit about 28 to 30, you're very smart. Like you're very, very smart because you've been through that age and now you're kind of in the middle of not being too old where you're kind of out of the loop and you're kind of in control of like you have like a you have there's some demand at around that age. And then you're also kind of like getting out of like the loop, so you're kind of like bored. So there's like that's like a perfect kind of, you know? So I would say around 28. I like that. And then his looks, this is what I'm trying to think. His looks, I would say, unironically, something like me. Like I don't think too nerdy, too strong. I just think kind of just a normal looking guy that's good looking. Nothing too much, just but definitely can turn that charm on, you know? To be honest, I would want to play it, but would I actually want to play it? That's a good question. I feel like since it's my idea, I should always play my movies, to be honest with you. You know what I mean? So I think I'd have to play it. Yeah. Yeah, I'd have to play it. Who would you pick if you didn't play it? That's a really fucking good question. Someone that kind of is like me. But no, you'd have to dig deep. That's the hard. Casting the girls, they'd have to be very dramatic girls that can very play the art of falling in love with a guy. Like it would have to be like the girl has to very much play that I'm so fucking in love with this guy. Like it'd have to be almost like a TikTok girl that dances on live battles a lot and really has that charisma off like yeah, something like that. I would say the girls make them more the 20 to 22 to 24 where they're a little like they're like, "Oh, I love this guy so much." Oh, like you know what I mean? Like they're not as like they're so like just trying to they're first experiencing it in a way, the whole thing. But I would say in the movie make them around the same age. Make the like in real life that age, but in the movie we'll say they're like 25, 26. So it shows how much kind of like power he has over these people that are his like he has that charisma. You know what I'm saying? Fuck, I gotta make sure I'm writing this down. So he's 28. Yeah, so the girls will be like 22 in the movie, they'll be 25. So like 3 years younger than him, 2 years younger than him. So he still has a little bit more of that control where he has that age a bit, that age, like, you know what I'm saying? Yes, left Sylvester Stallone wrote that, yeah. He wrote his own movies, yeah. Where does he meet them? Great question. Great fucking question. I would say first girl he knew his whole life from school. Second, we can put Hinge dating apps. Yeah, I would say and then let's say TikTok. So like social media, dating apps, bars, people he's known. One girl he's known, dating apps, going out, social. Starbucks wouldn't be a bad idea. Because we like you can do a cute scene where he walks in Starbucks, then the girl at the front desk or the girl at the front making the Starbucks is a cutie. Then he kind of like, there's a seductive thing there. And then maybe even make it like really hot where she's like kind of filling up the drink and looking at him. And he's just so good at like playing cute. And then that's where she totally falls over. Like falls for him, right? Yeah, maybe even sees every day. Kind of like, oh, I forgot my card. And then she's like, it's okay. You can have it. And then she puts a number on the drink one time through the drive-through. Oh yeah, Sadie Sink. I could see that as well. Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a really good one actually. Smart. Do the girls have one thing in common? No, I would say the more like it does, I'd say the more versatile the better. I think he just likes girls. Yeah, 20 to 28, yeah. How would he meet the detective's daughter? Ooh, good night, Ann. Thank you, thank you. How would he meet the detective's daughter? That's a great fucking question. Um, hmm. College snap. I would say meets the at a dating app. I would say dating app. Yeah, because then it would just be like we can make a scene, cute girl. He kind of like falling in love with her, and she just got a normal profile. You can tell like she's been to school, rides horses, school, rides horses, got an award at school, then feels like she can change him because he will just kind of you can tell he's kind of just like this guy, like he's cute and stuff, but just works a normal job, doesn't really like doesn't really go to school and shit. So she's trying to like bring him up. Like she kind of looks at it as like, oh, he's so cute. Like I feel like, like he'll act kind of nervous and stuff, and she'll be like, I feel like I can like bring him out and change and stuff. Harvard was an idea. We could do like that scene. Yeah. We could do like she's super smart, goes to Harvard. But getting into the logistics, I guess we should do soon. Like kind of think where would the movie be plotted and shit. Because that's where we should honestly start, to be honest with you, because it will kind of be, then you can actually start crushing it and being like, okay, what city is it in? What is the area going to be? What's the names? Like, start locking all that down, and then you can kind of grow off of that. So that would definitely be probably what we should do. But maybe sleep on that though. Is maybe going to focus on the topic of love online or more about the fact you felt rejected by women? I think a bit of both. I'm trying to think what we should do. What would be the best approach? Hmm. I don't think it has to have a massive one, this is how it has to be type shit. Or like I don't think it has to have a massive like plot. Like I think the plot would be more lean towards the rejection, right? Because normal people aren't doing this no matter social media or not. But then I guess you can see how with the rejection and then on top of that, the influence of like just like being obsessed with the social media, being obsessed with what's going on, all that just kind of was like his trigger in a way, right? Could have been any other thing, if there wasn't social media, it could have been whatever. But I think like that would just be like an add-on to like, yeah, I think it would all kind of mix match type shit. Good shit, man. Is he dating more than one at a time? Ooh, that's another good question. Um, that might be a good idea. That might be a good idea. Yeah, I would say he makes people fall in love with them, but he's doing it to everybody. He's not just doing it to that girl. He gets off Snapchat, goes to the next snap, same girl's in love with him. Goes to the next, kind of organizes it that way. Yeah, I would say. I would say he's a cheater. I would say he's a cheater. But very smooth. Very smooth. Ooh, maybe he meets the girls recovering type trauma. Yeah. I would think the more plot though would be that everyone's got trauma. I think the biggest plot about the movie is that like we're all fucked up. Surprise, you're not better than anyone else. So I think that's the main focus on the movie is kind of how everyone's fucked up. Even the cop's daughter that was perfect in society, she was still in love with this guy that was obviously a psychopath. So like there's obviously that connection of sight like life. Do you know what I mean? There's no, yeah, not a big distinction is basically I think what we should focus on the most. He has to date a lot to find the ones that are willing to do these things with him. He has to date a lot to find. Yeah, no, I think yeah, 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 yeah. 100%. I agree with that. So I get where Fantail is coming. It's more of like talking about like it's a lot of trial and error, right? We're gonna show that he gets rejected, and then kind of like finds one. So I guess you're asking like, so where's that trauma coming from the ones that are going in? But I would say more luck of draw, right? Because I would just say one person's not interested because they have a boyfriend. One person's not interested because it's just not that time for them. One person's not interested because of just a picture he sent that they didn't like, you know? I don't think it has to be exactly related to some sort of like trauma. I think it's more of just like, I think it's more showing that a woman can be easily manipulated as she falls in love through the power of how charm can affect how people can become obsessed with that charm and that wanting, in quotations, that perfect man type shit. And then that just kind of escalates and escalates. And now they're caught in this cycle of I never want to let go. This is my person. And then that just picks up. And then that just is what makes them think that's my person type shit. where I'll do anything for that person type shit. The trauma thing I'm interested in, actually, I'm not gonna lie. The trauma thing, who are the type, in quotations, type of girls? I'm not gonna lie, that is an interesting thing. If we can somehow dig that deep, that would be very valuable to the movie. I'm not saying we're making this movie, but why not just pretend we are and see how far we can get with it? It leads to a very interesting discussion. If the girls are willing, if you really guilty. He'd have to be really good at reading women to know which ones would be, true. But this is what I'm trying to say. I think it would be more of just a seduction thing more than finding the right type of girl. I think it would be more just him studying the art of seduction, first getting the girl to love him from his looks, and then as soon, it doesn't matter who the girl is, as soon as she kind of starts to roll over and like fall in love with them, he starts to slowly make her reliant, which ends up like becoming a manipulated thing, and then starts to become some sort of like ownership. Like it just gets deeper from there where it's like the like I want the most out of you type shit, you know? Um, I don't know. It's a good discussion though, because like we could say it's a good discussion. Well, no, we don't have to worry about it being released in theaters, etc. That's like the least of our worries. It's more of the concept and stuff like that. That is why I said a sex therapist, he can use that. Yeah, but I think that's a little too much, to be honest. Maybe he was humiliated by a woman as a young leads to dark thoughts. Yeah, I think like it will stem from like shit that happened in the past where like he didn't feel as loved by somebody or he didn't feel as loved by his parents or like he tried to have relationships and they never worked out. So it's gonna have all of that where he did start to have this urge of I need to I need to be the most this most seductive. I need to be the most charming. He'll start watching like let's say Andrew Tate shit. Like he'll start watching like how to be a man, like how to be the best, and like he'll start becoming obsessed with the art of like making women fall in love where it becomes now he's a Chad. Now he's this hot guy. He knows how to seduce where girls are like, he's the dream guy. This guy is so freaking hot. It's insane. Like we can even have like compliments where he brings her to the movies and the friends meet them, and then the friends are like, "Holy fuck, look how beautiful that guy is." And then that's where she falls even more. She's like, "I just can't get enough of you. You make me feel so loved." Um, but yeah, the good question. Um, I think the best question to this is when I think of like there are certain women that definitely go head over heels where there are certain women that won't do that, but I don't think we should focus on the women that don't do that because that wouldn't make the movie. So I think we just focus on the personality type of a woman, of a girl that is going to be like where I'm so obsessed. Do you know what I'm trying to say? Because there's a lot of those girls out there on the internet where they just want that man to fulfill their need, or like they're so like, I'm a princess, I'm going overboard type shit, you know? So I think like that would be, we don't even have to show the difference. We can just put, those are just the girls in the movie. You know, we're not even showing the people that aren't like that type shit. We can show them, but they'll be more like the cops. You know, you'll see like a cop, let's say like that has a head on her shoulders and she's in the back room and she's like, what is wrong with these girls though? And then she's going through the social media and she sees she's partying with friends. She's showing her ass in this video. She's being so erotic. She is talking about how hot this guy is. And we can kind of paint the puzzle to like how there's all these guys, I mean, all these girls, where she starts to realize, like, yeah, you know, I know exactly what type of girls these are, type shit. You know what I mean? Yeah, a little risky behavior for sure. I like it, but I don't think we have to go as far as ugly as a kid. I don't think we have to go that far. I would just really stick on the train tracks of just normal that turned into an obsession to be great. I don't think we have to go into that much drama about that, to be honest. But I like the suggestion, but that's my honest opinion. Wait, what? Why can't they have the fantasy and want to play, but not give permission to go all the way? Because the whole baseline, the whole thing that started this thought was the permission part. I think that makes the movie unrealistic, but realistic. But just like it makes the movie just like unreal. Like it's like there's nothing been anything like that. So I think that's why. Because to it's the obsession that the girls fall for this guy that they literally will write their life off just for that love to be basically taken advantage of to a point that they are murdered. That's where people are going to be like, what the fuck, dude? Yeah, the ultimate power. Yeah, that's the peak. Yeah, they go on all into Guy's a stranger, but he's not a stranger. He, at first, he's a stranger, but then they start to love him and get to know him, and they fall like very quick. And he does little swift like magic type shit to make these women love him. And then once he has them, it escalates to like the sexual pleasures, and then they basically fall in love with that sexual pleasure so much that they want to be hurt like choked to the point where it's like I want all of you like and then she basically says like just kill me like and signs it and says I don't even fucking care, just fucking kill me, like where you'll see the scene where she's like just fucking kill me, and then he'll be like fuck, and then boom. So to the point they get to a sexual arousal where the girl literally says, I don't give a fuck, just kill me. because it feels so good type shit. All killed the same. Yeah, I think we should do choke. I honestly think choking. I think when you start getting to like beating up and stuff or like hitting some I think the biggest thing should be the strangle thing where they just want more of like I don't even want to breathe type shit. This is unreal thinking. Does he murder them all the way? Does he yeah, I would say all the same way. Yeah. Yeah. Do the girls have a backstory as why they want to be killed that way? That's what we're thinking, but to be honest with you, I don't know. I think like if we do a specific one, no, I think one girl, right, had a horrible life growing up. Dad beat her up, blah blah blah. One girl lost her job, wasn't feeling good. One girl lost her grandpa, wasn't like only lived with her grandpa the whole life. One girl got raped and molested her whole life when she was young. One girl has daddy issues. You know, every girl can have their own kind of story to it. I just don't know, should we get deep into that? Because how long is the movie gonna be? Um, we can do like quick flashes where it's like you see the one girl and then they talk about it goes kind of like woo, and then it's like everything she's kind of been through pretty quick. But no, I think that's too much. I think they can talk about that, like where it's like they'll be sitting on the bed and he'll kind of listen to the story and they can be like, yeah, like I always loved my grandpa and he died. So every time he brings them to a vulnerable place where they cry in his arms, that should be one of the biggest methods, is bringing that girl to a vulnerable place where she does cry in the arms. Yeah, I would say not do the quick flashes. Yeah, we could do that maybe throughout the movie, like where it's like, okay, now, yeah, it could be like, the cops thinking about it and has them, and she's like, look at this, like this girl has this, and then it shows this, and then it could be like, he talked about this. But yeah, I don't know. The quick flashes is tough though. It's like, where would you put that in the movie? The quick flashes is tough because I don't know where we would fit that in. Exactly what Sally said. What did Sally say? Don't forget though, the audience is supposed to have empathy for the killer and not develop any emotion for the girl. True, 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 true. Yeah, that's why I think it should be a little more focused towards that. But I think a little empathy for the girl is not too bad. So I think they could be like, I think it could just have a quick flash randomly of like the first girl, and she's sitting on the bed and she talks about how her dad passed away and she's super sad, and then it could kind of just be like her crying, and then it could be like as you could shut off, and then the next girl it could quickly flash to she's getting molested by her uncle, and then she has this like burst where she just wants to die or kill somebody, and then it just flashes, and then it could pop to this other girl, and then if she could be walking, she got bullied on the street, and then she just wants to friggin' stop, and it all goes to when a girl's like this and she's like, oh, I like, and then boom. So it's almost like falling in love with wanting to kill or be killed. You know what I mean? And just like a quick flash through that we don't even have to put a reason why the flashes happen. It could just be a random part in the movie. It could just pop up random. Denise, you're wild. Maybe they have a flash as they're dying. Ooh, that's so smart. Flash as they're dying. Smart. It can be, and then when it's choking, it's like, "Shh." Then it's the little girl like screaming because her uncle. Then she cries, snaps, and then it goes. So it like goes black screen, and then it goes like that line where you die. That, but you don't see that line. You just hear that thing, and then it snaps back to the killer's face on top, and then he gets off. That's good. That's really good. The job, I don't think it matters too much. We can mess around with it. I think just normal guy. Maybe he works at a bakery for a little bit, back and forth. I don't think focus too much on the job, more on the studying behind, like coming home from his job. No, it's not too harsh because it could just be like it leads up and then they're ready for that kill. It chokes, snaps black, beep, and then back to normal. And then to the next. Like it'll go silent for a bit, and then it'll show him just it'll go back to like happy. Like at the sunrise, he gets out of bed and it's like, "Hey dad, how's it going?" "I'm good, son. Why were you up so late?" "I heard you last night moving." "Oh no, nothing. Fuck. I was playing COD and with my boys and um I last night I went out with this chick, hung out there for a bit. Oh, nice. Yeah, 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 yeah. And then it can move from there. I got work though today, whatever, and then you can see like he's kind of a shy guy, Not really. You can feel for the girl. Listen, listen, listen. You can feel for the girl. Trust me. You can feel for the girl. It is the whole movie doesn't have to be about the girl, but you can quickly feel for the girl. You can feel for the girl. What does he do with the body? He's talked about this 10 times. I'll say it again. He puts it where he has known references from his childhood or places he has been. He kills the body. He puts it somewhere there. If it was an old school, church, arena, an old neighborhood, a old buddy's street, something. Puts the body, head off, the note that they wrote on the head, rips the signature, keeps the signature, puts it on the back of his door. So then he knows that the cops have it. When they find him, the cops will have the notes. He can match it with the signature and show them they signed it. Look, I'm not saying it was right, but I'm showing you these girls wanted me to kill them. So basically, he wanted the chase. He wanted to lead it to that so he can fulfill his fantasies, show this experiment, and then also be caught and then killed. That's a good question. Does his family, that's a good question. Does his family wonder about the girls? Yeah, I would say, what happened to this girl? But I think the family's not invested with the girls. They see them once in a while, they don't really care. Oh, he's got a new girl over, didn't work out. They don't think about it too hard. Yeah, say it didn't work out exactly. Yeah, normal behavior. There needs to be some surprise at the ending. When does this movie come out, dude? I'm ready. Probably fucking forever, dude, honestly. So the first kill is what motivates continue. Yeah, the first kill was basically in the moment. She had issues. They loved each other. She said, finish it, and he literally finished it. So it was more of like a sexual thing until she said, do it. And then he actually choked her out. So like, yeah. So the first one, there was no note. Then when he talked to the new girl, he basically seduced her to end up writing that note and getting her to love him so much, basically obsessed to the point where she allowed him to do that. Yeah, the first one was kind of just like they were in love, they were talking, and then it just kind of happened that way, and he was scared after. Are all the notes the same? Ooh, that's a good question. I would say it'd be like, I give this person the right to take my life, and because. And he's like, I want you to write because. And then just say she's like, oh, is this the right idea? And he's like, kind of stares at her, makes her feel like you don't think it is, but manipulates this, what, you don't love me? And then that's when she remembers, oh, I do love you. And then it's like, yeah, so write the note. And then she's kind of like, and then, or he's like, but why do you love me? I want to know why. What's the reason? And then she's like, because this guy makes me feel safe and I wouldn't want to do anything else but die with this person. And then he's like, and then he spices up that a girl, give me a kiss type shit, grabs her. She's feeling like he grabs her, knows how to touch her, knows how to seduce her. Then she's feeling good. And then that sexual arousal starts rising and rising and rising to the point where he's like, are you ready? And he starts doing it. And she's like, I don't know. And he's like, you do know. And then she's like, and then it goes type shit where she's like, okay, just fucking do it. Like it's almost like fighting back and forth, but it's like, just finish me type shit. And then he does it. After beheaded, like just for like a sick thing. But I would say the note part is the hardest part. We got to do it. So the audience but is left thinking that it was a truly murder or was a suicide. Truly a murder, but a planned murder. So the murder was planned. Like the murder was, he wanted to do that because he was very aroused with it. He got these girls to be aroused with it as well. It started with sex, but then choking, then more choking to the point where they really loved it and they wanted more and more. And then it became, what if I actually kill you? And then all your anxiety washes away. All these things that you have, I'll like take that away from you while we're having sex. Like I'll actually go all the way with you. And she's like, I don't know, I don't know. And then it's like, then she goes home, takes out the vibrator, starts wanting that, etc. Then starts feeling like I'm in love with this guy. Then it just starts gradually happening from there. They're having sex. Then he's like, let me do it, but I need you to write why you would let me do this. Or that can be before the sex act. You can be like, say, I will let this guy kill me. If you really love me, right, I will let this guy kill me. But you have to write why you would let me kill you. Why you give me permission to do whatever I want with you. That's perfect. A lot of girls get into that. I want you to take advantage, do it whatever you want. Tell me why you give me the reason to do it. And then as they're doing it, she doesn't really know what's gonna happen, but she kind of already accepted it. And then as it's going, she's getting turned on, she's getting turned on, he's more forced, squeezing, etc. And she's like, fucking do it, just finish me. And then it just escalates to where he really fucking jokes and she's like, and he's like, oh, that's the hardest part. How does it actually happen? I would say the choking, like it needs, I would say you see her fearful. I would say it's like this, right? She's going to like, do it. But then after, right when it's about to be done, I would say she ends up kind of like being scared. And then he really fucking pushes, and then that's when the flash. It's almost like snap flash. And then the quick flash of her crying, whatever, it's really quick, snap, and then just boom. Or the audience for doesn't even know what happened in that moment. It just happened. Like they don't really know what that flash was. It just happened and then it's done. So he basically manipulates them to write that note and love the fantasy and say, yeah, just take me through a fantasy, but they don't really know that it's really gonna happen, but they kind of have a feeling, but they're so love struck that they're not really paying attention to what is actually happening. Do you guys get what I'm saying? Perfect. Another thing is, Yeah, basically the girls have a dark, twisted fantasy about being taken advantage of, like being taken advantage of. I think that's the best word. So in the movie, you'll see the girls have a dark twist of kind of being, I would say, yeah, being taken advantage of, like, but I don't want it to be too directed at that only. I want it to almost be like that safety, that love, and also just like just take all my shit away from me type shit. Like, oh, I just wish you were here to like just end all my suffering sometimes and just freaking be like just like that whole like I just love, you know what I mean? Hey, Kate. Because I don't want it to be too directed on like the girls like we talked about, more just like focused on why this guy does it, but then also like the art of like how these girls just want to be like almost like taken care of, but also like on it where they're not even really caring about their own life. They're just caring about giving it to someone else almost. You know what I'm saying? Does the movie open with him on death row? Yeah, it could. Kind of like that idea. I'd say the last word is he sees everyone recording him. He sees the things going on in society, how fucked it up is. And they say, "So what's your last words?" And he says, "I'm glad they enjoyed it." And then, and then it starts the movie. Something like that. Like almost where it was like he's looking around, he sees the recording, people kind of laughing, whatever, and then almost just kind of says, "I'm glad they enjoyed it." Something like that. Or yeah, any last words to the families and everyone that you've hurt? And then it's like, "I'm glad they enjoyed it." And then and then shuts and starts from the beginning, something like that. No, that how do you know that how he got caught? How would you know that? Just because he's in death row, that doesn't make sense. Yeah, good night, Kate. We're doing like a scary movie of a serial killer named Jake. Jake. No, target audience, it's worldwide. Worldwide. There's no really target audience towards it. Just a horror movie. Everyone likes a good horror movie. They talk about it, they see how crazy it is. It would be anyone on social media, I would say. Anyone that's kind of scrolling through social media and they'll kind of show like the clips of like just obsession and girls and all that shit. You know what I mean? I think it's a pretty broad, pretty broad demographic, to be honest with you. I think it would go from a teenager to an adult. So, and I also think we don't need to be thinking that far about movies and movie theaters and shit like that. Do we see a lot of his backstory? Yeah, but we don't want it to make it full about the backstory. We want to make it more about what's happening, but definitely flashes back to his backstory of him like thinking about something or remembering something and being like, like little stuff like that for sure, for sure. Yeah, it is original. I've seen a lot of new horror stories that were, to be honest, very original lately. So it's been getting better. There's been a lot of money in this horror movie. Yeah, this is my idea for a horror movie, not my idea that I'm gonna go to Kay Palmer's house and do something, but it's my idea for a horror movie. Yes, I'm not the killer, guys. Um, but yeah, this is my idea. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Yeah, you're good, you're good. Obsession's crazy. Good night. Thank you, Sonia. Thank you. I'm gonna get going. That was good. I was just excited to share that with you guys because I was thinking about it briefly and I was like, holy fuck, I have a great fucking idea. And I was like, this is good. All of you guys too, thanks for all the ideas because so much good ideas in the chat. That definitely helps. So unreal. We can talk more about this tomorrow. I'm gonna go tomorrow. I have an hour and a half PR training, which isn't fun, but I do have to do that. It's like an hour and a half, so well, I'm excited for it, but got an hour and a half of that. That's at like noon, like one or something. So I'll be on in the morning for a coffee. See you guys. And yeah, great movie ideas, guys. That was super fun. Um, and we'll get back at the movie ideas tomorrow. Maybe start getting into actual scenes. Like how is the first scene exactly gonna go? Maybe we can start getting into more details so we can kind of see how much we can do. Um, Alrighty, beauty. Talk to you guys tomorrow. Love you. Good night. Bye, guys.